I thought there is no better time
Mhm.
than right now to do a character profile on everyone's favorite raccoon at the minute. Um,
I agree.
and I think there's going to be some interesting bits in here that I definitely didn't know. So I imagine most people don't know.
Okay. Interesting.
So if I told you Rocket Racoon made his first appearance in February 1982, do you want to hazard a guess at what comic you think he made his first appearance in?
Well, it's obviously not going to be like a Guardians of the Galaxy comic. So, I don't know. A Groot comic.
Nope.
Okay.
Incredible Hulk number 271.
What? That's such a random
That is
pairing.
really random, isn't it? Okay, so what happened was the Hulk got transported to Half-World, a
Okay.
planet where humanoid mental patients, so they're not described as humans, but they are humanoid, people with severe cross the galaxy mental issues,
Right.
were in a planet sized facility being
Okay.
cared for by genetically and mechanically enhanced animals, including
Oh,
Rocket. So basically,
Dr.
what had
Rocket.
happened was centuries ago,
Mm.
the Shrinks, as all they're known, took these humanoids to this planet where they looked after them.
Mhm.
Then their funding got cut, so they left.
Right.
But in one last act of care before they left, they built robots to care for these patients.
Okay.
Another couple of hundred years pass. These robots, through a freak cosmic storm, gain sentience and
Right.
realize they don't want to care for these people, so
Good.
they want to build their own society. So what they do is they take these animals that have been there as like emotional support animals,
Right.
and they genetically and mechanically engineer and modify them to then give care to these patients.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a really weird
Yeah.
concept. Um, so what eventually happens over time is that animals realize that the best way to keep these mental patients happy is with toys.
Right.
Just things that they can pay attention to, and they realize that when the patient don't have adequate toys, they become difficult and violent and aggressive. So they make toy companies, and that basically becomes the big market for this little world. It's just who's making toys, because then the people can get the toys to give to the patients to make their own life easier.
Right. Okay.
Um, and basically, as the Hulk arrives, he encounters Rocket, and Rocket informs him of the villainous Judson Jakes, who's basically trying to monopolize toys so that he controls the world. Because if he's in charge of the
Hasbro.
toys, he's got control over the mental patients and therefore has
Right.
control over the citizens, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So the Hulk goes, right, I'll help you stop him. He sounds like a bad dude. I'm on board. So as they're going back to form a plan, Rocket realizes that Jakes has discovered and kidnapped his girlfriend Lila.
Okay.
After finding Jakes' base, the Hulk was fooled into being teleported back to Earth by Jakes' chief science officer.
Right.
However, Rocket was able to locate and escape with Lila, which is all good news.
We love that.
Then we get a weird period of time called the Toy Wars, which is basically another Judson Jakes type person
Right.
starts fighting with Judson and the planet to try and do exactly what Judson's trying
Mega
to do.
Toy Corps.
Yes. But they also are extremely interested in Lila because she is the heiress to this company because it was started by her grandparents.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just it's very typical evil corporation storyline. It's just in space and
With
with weird
toys.
characters. Yeah. So there was that whole war. There's not really too much on how that ended. It just did. I assume something didn't quite go right because Rocket seems to have lost his memory. And he
Okay.
kind of is just adventuring around space by himself, a little bit lost in the world. when he happens upon the Guardians, who save him from a situation he was in the middle of. Not deliberately save him; they just happen to be there and save him.
Hmm.
And he helps them out as like part of the escape because obviously he wants to get out.
Yep.
And he ends up joining them and acts as like a master tactician and heavy weapons expert for them. Very reminiscent of what Rocket is to the people who know him
Yeah.
through the MCU. And from there, Rocket was pretty steady. He was a member of the Guardians. There was a couple of short stints where him and Groot would go off and just be like a partnership out and
Mm.
about. But for
Yep.
the most part, they were the Guardians. He even helped to steady the ship a couple of times when Star Lord's leadership was called into question.
Right.
And Rocket and the Guardians would also go on to play a role in the battles against Thanos and the forming of the Infinity Watch.
Yep.
Um, Here's the thing: the Guardians of the Galaxy were a nothing comic book. And
Yeah.
I never want to claim that the film made the books because that is always a horrible thing to claim. But in this case, it's not far off the truth. It is a very James Gunn esque thing to do to go, okay, give me your weird and wonderful characters, I will make something happen. But yeah, that is Rocket. He is a raccoon in the
Interesting.
comics. He is genetically enhanced. I would
Very
argue
different.
he's been given a much more tragic and gruesome backstory in the
Yeah, but
MCU.
then a bit more. I feel a more interesting backstory though.
Yes, for sure.